Hi, my name is Ashton. I have 6 years sober, and I am an administrative assistant here at Klean.
Hello, my name is Darren. I'm an admissions coordinator at Klean Treatment Centers, and I have been sober for 4 years and a handful of months. Crime and punishment are for people of color, at least that from what I've seen. They typically, again, from what I've read, I don't have empirical evidence, but it would be like, this guy gets caught with a bag of crack cocaine, he gets 15 years in federal prison. The same guy who's white, bag of crack cocaine, he gets a lesser punishment. That has just been my experience.
I agree with that. I think there's also an inherent stigma towards people of color and using, and it's almost like there's a societal expectation or like, you know, a preconception that, oh, this is a person of color, they're inclined to be an alcoholic or a drug addict. And then even within the communities, I know personally with my black side of the family, there's kind of a joking side to it, you know. Oh, that's Uncle so-and-so, he's an alcoholic, watch him drink, you know. There's things like that, whereas I've noticed with friends and family from my white side of the family and whatnot, there's a bit more of a serious tone to it, you know. Can maybe take it back a little bit, you know, something like that.
Censorship.
You know, they're quick to, you know, tap you on the hand real quick and be like, you know, calm down, you're embarrassing me.
Yeah. You know, for me, my personal experience was I'd rather hang around the gay community when I was getting high, because what's the worst thing in my mind that is going to happen if someone wants to have sex with me?
I definitely agree with that as far as comparisons and differences go. I think for gay men, there is this tendency to want to indulge in alcohol or drugs when in social situations or romantic or sexual situations.
As opposed to when I was running with my straight friends, and what we want to do is get high and rob people and put guns to people's head.
If you go on, let's say, a gay dating app, Grindr, Scruff, whatever, you'll find that there's little hints at it, you know, even they'll be like, I'm interested in P&P, party and play.
Blowing clouds.
Yeah, basically, like, let's go hang out with my friend Tina. I call it like my worst night ever, June 11th, 2011. I went on to Craigslist trying to find...
Oh, good old Craigslist.
Good old Craigslist. You can find anything on Craigslist.
Yeah, you can.
Chair, meth, it's all the same.
Yeah.
But I went on there trying to find some opiates because I was just dead broke. My little shady doctor was missing. I set up an arrangement to meet up with this older guy. And I said, you can do whatever you want to me if you give me so-and-so. They're like, okay, sure, come over. Went over, and I actually was sexually assaulted by him and 2 of his friends, and then I got my drugs, and then on the way home, I was high off of Oxy, Coke, and marijuana, totaled my car into 2 parked cars, and, you know, cops start pulling up, and you know when you're really nervous, you're like, Ash just takes a bite out of this chair, just like, like cops. And that night I was going through withdrawals in jail, just miserable, and trying to reflect like, how did I go from 3 years ago being kind of star A student, you know, on track to go to medical school, and now I'm in jail high because I totaled my new car, mind you, after having been sexually assaulted.
My friend that I used to get high with, his mom, she was in NA meetings. She was in Narcotics Anonymous, and she took him in my first NA meeting. I think I stayed sober for like a month on willpower. Yeah. But I think at that time I really didn't want it. I just was like, I was gonna get kicked out of my house. I was gonna, you know, I was gonna be on the streets. I was marveled. I was amazed at like Narcotics Anonymous, and like there's a bunch of addicts here, and you guys are all clean and sober. That's not possible. There's a conspiracy. Yeah, that's what.
I think the first time I tried to get sober was nothing eventful. I mean, pretty similar. It was, I'd actually been on painkillers because I had received a chemical burn in my eyes. So I was legally blind for a good minute. And after I got cornea transplants, I was still hooked on the drugs, but they said, you're done. You know, you don't need them anymore. You have new eyes. So for about a month or 2, I was really just, you know, begging, shopping for them and everything. And my mom actually said, you know, they said you don't need them anymore, you should probably stop. I'm like, okay, fine. So I didn't think about it at all, and I just spent a week like, okay, I don't need it. And then, you know, come Friday, I'm back on Craigslist. What does my sexuality have to kind of, you know, specifically being heterosexual, what does that, you know, have to do with anything? But for a member of the gay community, it's a bit different, because if you want to feel like you belong to that group and that community, it would stand to reason that you need to engage with that community. Let's say you go to Pride, you can find like 10 booths with beer, Svedka and so on, or different vodka brands, or you know, sponsoring everything like that. And you know, you go to different parties, it's just alcohol everywhere. You want to go on the dating apps. I'm not sure if, you know, straight apps or in profiles and everything say like, you know, are you down with P&P, down with T?
Oh, yeah, no,
like, you know, are you down with that? But, you know, it's kind of like you're bombarded a bit with it in the LGBT community. So I think the differences in being sober and maintaining sobriety as a gay male is, again, like I've said before, knowing who you are and where you stand, and just having an awareness of things, because those things are going to be there. If you want to, you know, if you're going to be in the community, those triggers, those things will be exposed to you. You just got to be strong. If you can come out, then, you know, you can challenge most anything.
You can find meetings all over now, all over the country, all over the world. Now, necessarily, are they going to be inviting of someone who has issues that relate to the LGBTQ community? Probably, you know, it's probably more or less than, you know, we're getting better. It's 2017.
Yeah.
But I don't think, you know, I think there's no really straight issues. I mean, it's just like, you know, non-sexual issues, you know, we're dealing with, you know, it's acceptable to say, you know, it's at a, you know, you know, in a different part, in some parts of this country, you say, yeah, me and my boyfriend got into a fight, you could put your safety at risk, you know, and I want to use. Whereas if I speak it, you know, me and my girlfriend or my wife, whatever, it's, you know, people aren't gonna, you know,
it's kind of gloss over.
Yeah, gloss it over. Whereas opposed to, I think the accessibility of, you know, being able to really share my feeling, you know, whatever, just share them. You know, it's more PC. It's more socially acceptable, I guess, across the norm. Well, I had about a 5-month period where I was remanded into the custody of the LA County Sheriff's Department to kind of be sober and not fully acclimate into it. Yeah. So for me, the reacclimation was through treatment, and then, but the one thing that changed is there was a fire some kind of fire got lit inside of me that I hadn't been lit before. You know, getting back into society through treatment, and then completing, and then, you know, getting a job in treatment, well, it was sales, and then a job in treatment, and, you know, getting my own apartment. You know, it just kind of, the time was now right for all that stuff to fall in place. It wasn't a struggle. I look forward to paying my bills. I look forward to looking at my credit score.
After that incident of totaling my car, court ordered to do a DUI program, which was supposed to be 3 months, but I somehow made it 1.5 years because sobriety's stupid. And during that time, you know, regular UA checks, observed UA checks, groups, ordered to do, like, you know, so many AA meetings, and, you know, I just showed up because they had free cigarettes and coffee. But going through that program, you know, after a while, you know, you can only tune out so much, and then you have to just start listening. And then eventually started sinking in, and I started listening to what they were saying. So I went back to school, got a job, started volunteering again, you know, got turned down by every hospital because obviously. But jumping back in and doing things, not just to do things, but being mindful about them and doing what's important to me and recognizing why they're important to me. That's how I kind of got back into society.
For me, it's improving and maintaining sobriety is really improving and maintaining self. Awareness of self. What I want to have, what I'm working toward currently or presently that I've been focusing on is mindfulness, and like instead of having just like thinking about the future, the past, which is it's a practice, but really improving and becoming aware of myself and the little reasons why I tick. So for me, improving and maintaining sobriety is more or less improving and maintaining my mindfulness and my ability to stay in the present.
for me, when I was using, it was always to escape the present and just to go where I want to go and, you know, be what I want to be. So to maintain my sobriety now, I've incorporated a lot of that mindfulness and contemplative practices and what does it mean to actually be present right now. I didn't think much of it watching it, but when I actually applied those concepts to real life, it was, like you said, a beautiful thing, you know, just sober acid trip, like pupils dilating, like, what?
Someone's been to treatment like 50 times, whatever it is, and they're trying to go back again. Like, don't just give up. Like, I just don't want to give up on this person. Let's just keep doing it, keep trying, even if because I fell so many times, so many times, and I think just anything's better than the alternative. You just don't stop. You just don't stop. You relapse. You relapse. You know, my hope is for someone that's just to keep pushing forward, and you know, just to hopefully one day make it to the other side.
To know who you are, I think, really is important, and also to identify, why do I want to be sober? Why do I want to get sober? And if you can answer that question, then I feel like you have a better chance of succeeding at maintaining sobriety.
You know, bottom line is, it's not to use drugs, but, you know, as I've gone through a little bit longer through this experience, it's bettering myself, to be a better person, to have an awareness of maybe behaviors and habits that may have been products of my using. I still have nightmares about using, getting chased by correctional officers and police officers, and it's not pleasant, it's not fun. No. That lifestyle, I'm over it. Capital O, capital I, over it.
Sobriety and what it means to be sober for me, you know, actual Merriam-Webster definition aside, you know, no drugs, no alcohol, whatever, I think it implies that there's this awareness, this mindfulness about who you are as a person. You recognize yourself, this self-awareness, because when I was using, it was mostly to just escape everything. Like, you know, I didn't want to deal with people, I didn't want to deal with myself, I didn't want to look in the mirror, you know, nothing like that. Yeah. And being sober, it's kind of a challenge to me, not because of, you know, the actual maintenance or like becoming sober, but it was challenging because it basically was a point for me to ask myself, who am I, you know, what do I like, who do I want to be, you know, what's actually important to me, because those things all kind of disappear and get shrouded in that darkness, you know. But being sober, it's allowed me to say, you know, this is who I am, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, you know, if someone comes to me for something, I'm gonna, you know, be there for them, and didn't have that before.